Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Rattens here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why I think Raiders fans should be a little bit nervous, and I'm just going to be real with y'all. I am a little bit nervous waking up this morning after watching Monday Night Football, where the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers literally tried to hand the ball, throw it away, interceptions. I mean, the amount of turnovers in that game. It was a very, very interesting game to watch, and to all the people that I watched Monday Night Football with last night, to seriously, all y'all, man, I had so much fun being able to do that, and I'm excited that I get to do that type of stuff. So today, I'm going to tell you why I'm nervous, and I think I'm going to be able to make a pretty good example here of why I think Raider fans should be nervous going up against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 15 action. Before I get into that, though, today's show presented by Panda Subs. I was literally just on their website, and they got this new burn. Literally looks absolute fire. I'll say this, to me, during the holidays, I love to eat Thanksgiving food, even though I couldn't do it this year. Christmas, I'm going to make up for it. When I go home for the holidays, dude, I love just being able to snack on sweets. And then it's like, January, New Year, new me. If you have that same type of mentality, if you get a thermogenic, you help burn a little extra fat, pandasubs.com, make sure that you use code Raiders for 25% off. I'm telling you. It is a absolute game changer. And if you need some healthier protein, because you got that sweet tooth, I was talking to my guy Nico Laz. He's like, dude, the mint chip one is insane. You don't have to believe me, but believe my guy Nico Laz. All right, coming up here, I'm going to tell you guys why I'm nervous. Let's first talk about the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. And, when I talk about the Raiders a lot, I know that this Raiders team still wants to win. At least some of the players do. But then, I've been saying all week, I've been saying all month that this team's not going to win another game. I've been saying they're not going to beat Philly. They're not going to beat Houston. They're not going to beat the Giants. They're not going to beat the Chiefs to get us that number one overall pick. Well, if you didn't watch Monday Night Football last night, the Philadelphia Eagles offense is a problem. It's a really, really big problem. Jalen Hurts right now is struggling. And really, when you go back and you look at that game where they were up 21-0 against the Dallas Cowboys, they gave up that lead. They have really struggled ever since then. And it's just the fact they lost 24-21 to that Cowboys team. So if you think about it, they were up 21-0. They got outscored 24 freaking points. Then at home against the Chicago Bears, and I'm not saying the Bears are a bad team by any stretch, but Philly's usually a team that can show up and play FU football at this time of the year, and they're having an identity crisis. They lost 24-15 to the 24-15 to the Bears. And then, that game yesterday against the Chargers. I know it was in SoFi, but that game was a home game for Philadelphia. There were so many Eagles fans there, and they struggled offensively. But to me, I'm looking right now at a team that doesn't have an identity. They have no idea what's going on. If you didn't see what the team did last week, which got a lot of headlines, they put a bunny rabbit, essentially. I think they called it like a good vibes rabbit in the locker room. And I know this, it rubbed a few of the Eagles players the wrong way. It definitely didn't look like Saquon Barkley was very happy about it. But let's talk about Jalen Hurts. 21 of 40, 240 yards, 4 interceptions yesterday. And he also had a fumble, right? But in total, and when you look at how many turnovers were in this game, it was just disgusting. 5 turnovers for the Eagles, 3 turnovers for the Chargers. The reason why I bring up turnovers and the reason why I'm bringing up Jalen Hurts right now is because I think if the Raiders and the Eagles play a football game and nobody turns the ball over, the Eagles are going to win 10 out of 10 times. Where I get really nervous is when teams start turning the football over at an extremely high rate. That gives the other team a chance. And again, you can hate me if you want for what I'm about to say. I don't want the Raiders to win another game this season. I want the Raiders to go 2-15. I want the number one overall pick. I believe that helps us get the best head coach possible. And I'm looking at this Raiders team this season, and I really don't think that they're as bad as what their record shows. I just think that they're the worst poorly coached team in the National Football League, and you can't change my mind. Again, you can get mad at me for what I'm about to say here, but if you want Pete Carroll to return, I think you're a moron. And I'm sure that you guys probably think I say a lot of stuff that's moronic as well, and I hope that you don't look at that as a jab. It's just I'm always going to keep it a buck. I'm always going to keep it honest with y'all, and I'm always going to give my 110% opinion. Sorry, Chuck is like, yo, bro, what are we doing right now? He's been squirrel hunting all morning. So, watching that game, and I don't know how many of y'all ended up watching that game, but I got a question for you right here, right off the jump. After watching the Eagles, let's just say the past few weeks, and this team has really struggled. They're 15-27 without Lane Johnson. He missed that game yesterday. And I don't know if he's going to be able to go up against the Raiders this upcoming week. I'm hoping that he's able to go. So my question here to the nation, you want to answer it too? You can. My question here for the nation is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you that the Raiders are going to beat the Eagles and ruin their chances for the number 1 overall pick? You're about to get it with the YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and please give me your answer. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to go it's a 4. And I can't even believe I'm saying it's a 4. But it's a 4 because of the game I watched yesterday, the team that the Eagles have been. You got fans egging the offensive coordinator for Philly's house, and I know how difficult that area is. I grew up in the 570. Shout out to the 570. And I know how Philadelphia fans are. I know how Philadelphia media is. Like, dude, I'm telling you this right now. Geno Smith, Pete Carroll wouldn't last a year in the New York media, in the Philadelphia media, and maybe that's just why I kind of want some of these more difficult questions, because that's what I'm used to growing up. Maybe I'm just cut from a little bit of a different cloth when I look at sports content. Like, I expect people to ask the real life conversations, and that's why I always tell you exactly what's on my mind, and that's why I want you guys to tell me, what's on your mind. But like, it's a 4 for me, and that's 4 times higher than what it was before Monday Night Football. For that reason alone, yeah, I am nervous about going up against Philadelphia. Let's go to the next reason here. Why I'm nervous to go up against the Eagles. The Geno Smith injury. Pete Carroll didn't really give us too much of an update yesterday. He said he was dealing with a shoulder injury. I had a source tell me that the shoulder injury is not serious and he should be good to go this week. And I'll say this. I know that all season long we've been clamoring for bench Geno Smith, suspend Geno Smith, play Aiden O'Connell, play literally anyone else besides number 7. I want Geno Smith to start every single game for the Las Vegas Raiders for the remainder of the season. And I say that because Geno Smith starting for the Raiders gives us the best chance to lose. It gives us the best chance for the number 1 overall pick. And I'm not saying that I think if, you were to tell me I got to start a quarterback next season, Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, or Kenny Pickett, who do I think is the best? That's not what this question is. That's not this statement. This statement is, Pete Carroll, I understand he wants to save his job. And I don't know if he's going to end up benching Geno. I think literally one of the reasons why Pete Carroll is saying what he said yesterday, or 2 days ago, about Raider fans need to show up. I mean, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to save his job, but he also wants fans to, again, rally behind Geno Smith. It's one of the biggest reasons why Aiden O'Connell's been an emergency quarterback. It's one of the biggest reasons why they didn't draft Shedeur Sanders, because they knew and they wanted fans to rally behind Geno Smith. It was one of his jobs. But, I mean this when I say this. Geno Smith gives the Raiders the best chance to lose the remaining of the games. I've watched so much tape on him this season, and he looks so different compared to the way that he did last season. He looks so much older, and I was on Twitter late last night, and forgive me if I don't remember who I was tweeting at, but I saw this video, and the video, again, it just makes me very annoyed because I don't understand sometimes what Pete Carroll looks at, and I don't really understand the way he evaluates the game right now. It's very concerning to me. All right, it's Marcus Johnson. If you guys want, go give him a follow on Twitter. He's at the Mark John NFL. And basically the tape is Geno just not getting rid of the football. And one of the things that Chugs and I have been saying on the Raiders board, the one thing that I've been saying for a while now is I feel like Geno Smith just takes sacks on purpose, and I feel like he purposely takes sacks because he doesn't want his passer rating impacted. He doesn't want his QBR impacted. He doesn't want to throw another interception, which is great. He wants a high completion percentage. To me, he cares more about his stats than trying to go out there and execute and win a football game. Think about that final play before halftime. Your only thing that you tell your quarterback to do is can't take a sack, just throw it up, let's give us a shot. I literally think Geno Smith, and again, it wasn't the best play, but he could have threw that ball up. I just don't think that he wants to because he doesn't want to throw the interceptions. He doesn't want to throw the incomplete passes. He would rather take a sack instead of rolling out and throwing the ball out of bounds because, to me, that impacts his stats way more than a sack, because I think a lot of people who, again, don't truly watch the game will be like, oh, this offensive line stinks. If you look at that tape against the Broncos, I actually think that's one of the best offensive line games I've seen the Raiders play this season without Colton Miller and JPJ. I think you got to give credit to Alex Kappa. I think Alex Kappa was doing a better job at center than I ever thought that he was going to be able to do. Hell, I think you make the argument he might be doing a better job at center than what Jordan Meredith did. He definitely did a better job at center than what Will Putnam did. Still wouldn't be a better center than JPJ. That's a whole nother conversation. But starting Geno Smith for the Raiders gives us the best chance to lose. Let's go to another reason here why I am nervous. If Geno can't go, then you play Kenny Pickett. And I know people are going to be like, Cam Miller this, Andy O'Connell this. The Raiders have shown you this season that they would play Kenny Pickett. And it's going to be Kenny Pickett if he ends up going in there. And revenge games scare me. Revenge games scare the absolute hell out of me, because I don't think the Eagles look at Kenny Pickett and they're like, they feel a type of way. But I could also understand a player feeling a type of way from a team and organization that moved on from him. And Pickett was with the Eagles in 2024. And he looked pretty damn good, I thought, against the Denver Broncos. I get it, it's garbage time. It was 24-7. But like 10 of 14, 105 yards, a touchdown. And that was a strike, to Shedrick Jackson. It was, man. It was a absolute missile between two types of defenders. And he put it right on him 25 yards down the field. And I was like, oh, man. That was a hell of a throw. And I think when you watch Kenny Pickett in that game, the one thing that I saw was somebody who could at least, move a little bit in the pocket. Somebody that at least had confidence in themselves, because Geno Smith has no confidence in himself right now. He can say whatever he wants up there at the podium. My eyeballs telling me he is a quarterback right now crumbling under pressure. He is a quarterback that is just, he can't handle it right now. And he just can't. He's not seeing the field well. He doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe in anything going on. And it's clear as day. Now, he might go to another team and succeed. And honestly, I wish him the best of luck going elsewhere, because as long as he ain't here, I don't really give a flying flip. But Kenny Pickett, though, also was able to use his legs. And Kenny Pickett picked up a first down in that football game where, he rolled out, saw that there was nothing there, and extended the drive. Geno Smith just doesn't do that stuff anymore. And I don't know why, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, to me, I'm nervous because the Eagles look bad on Monday Night Football. Geno Smith's injury, and if he can't play, that hurts our chances to be able to get that number 1 overall pick. And then Kenny Pickett, I do wonder if having a guy like Pickett in there gives the Raiders a better chance to win, and I almost feel like that he does. Now, before we keep rolling here of why I'm nervous, I got plenty more reasons to get into, but if you don't know, I will be live today on the Raiders Report, and I'm going to be going live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm not going to push back my live show like Pete Carroll Presser yesterday, which, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the fact that the other day, Pete wasn't the very first person to talk to the media. I don't know how many of y'all noticed that. It was Geno Smith first. And then, yesterday, Pete Carroll Presser gets pushed back. It's usually always around 1:30. And instead of it being in front of the media, he's doing it from a Zoom call from his office. There are things that are happening right now inside of that organization that, again, I made a video yesterday. If you didn't see it, Pete Carroll knows he's going to get fired. Pete Carroll knows he's going to get fired. I'm not saying here that I had a source tell me that. I have a lot of sources tell me things. I am a content creator, which apparently is an unpopular thing to be based on a video that I saw from a Raiders beat reporter. But I look at myself as an entrepreneur. I look at myself as a YouTuber. I look at myself as a Raiders fan, most and foremost. And I don't do this show to give you guys inside scoops. I don't want to be a beat reporter. I don't want to be a Raiders insider. I do this show to be a fan, and I always give you guys my opinion. And when I hear something that's worth a damn, guess what? I'm going to tell you about it. So if you want to hear some stuff today that's worth a damn, go subscribe, turn on those notifications. I'm going to be live 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific here on the Raiders Report. Let's keep it moving here and why I'm nervous. If Geno Smith's out and if Kenny Pickett gets that opportunity to play, that also means that they could give that opportunity to Aiden O'Connell. Now, again, I don't think that the Raiders and Pete want to give AOC the chance because they know that's what fans want. And again, they want you to love Geno Smith, and they haven't got it at this point yet that it's just never going to happen. But AOC is going to be ready to go. AOC is very limited in terms of the type of quarterback that he has an upside, but he's a prepper, and he's going to be prepped for that football game. And if he gets an opportunity to go in there, I'm not saying it's going to be amazing, but one of the reasons why I love Fernando Mendoza is because Fernando Mendoza makes the 21 other guys around him better. Aiden O'Connell, I think, has that same type of leadership quality that's very important for a quarterback. Like, I know some people are like, oh, well, Aiden beat the Chiefs. In that game where he beat the Chiefs, he was 9 of 21 for 62 yards. However, though, that team played inspired football. And right now, the Raiders look lost because I think that they know deep down, like, Geno Smith ain't going to be the guy that gets it done. You put a different quarterback in there, that could inspire a team. That could fire up a team. And if you get a team that shows a little bit of confidence up against the really struggling Philadelphia Eagles offense right now, I mean, it does, man. It scares the absolute bejesus out of me. But also, you don't have any tape on Aiden O'Connell with this new Greg Olsen, Pete Carroll offense. You don't have any tape with Kenny Pickett. I know you have a little bit with that Broncos game, but like the tape sample size for Kenny Pickett and Aiden O'Connell is this big. The tape sample size with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll in this offense, Chip Kelly, Greg Olsen, is much larger. And the Raiders have shown you this season when you have the exact same amount of time to prep. And what do I mean by that? The week 1 game, the Raiders prepped very well, I thought, for New England. And then since that game, they've kind of just tried to do the same bullshit over and over and over and over and over again. And I think that they're doing that same bullshit over and over and over again because it's like what Pete Carroll, it's like what he knows and it's what he does, right? But my point of that is the reason why I'm very out again on Pete Carroll as a coach is because when you are week in and week out, the worst coach team, it shows up in the littlest ways. Missed tackles, special teams, execution. Just like there are things that just we've seen the Raiders this season. And if you are if you play Geno Smith and you play Pete Carroll and that combination and that team gets to be able to prep for that recipe is shown that's going to lose every single week. I know you beat the Titans, but again, go back and watch that Titans game. There's a lot of calls that the Raiders got. There's an Adam Butler call in there that I don't think that they should have got, which helped us out, and I think Tennessee should have got an automatic first down. There's a PI call in there down the field where you're like, holy shit, man. I think Tennessee should have got that one. And then the fumble recovery for a touchdown that we got. The Raiders, like, I don't know, man. You look at that fumble, and I think it's pretty damn close to being a fumble with Geno Smith. I think it could have gone either way. But, like, my point is, when you don't have tape on a player, it can bite you in the ass, and it's bit the Raiders in the ass how many times? Like, think about how many backup quarterbacks we've lost to the Tyson Bagents, to the Andy Dalton, to, man, there's so many more I'm just blanking on. But, like, over the years, we've always said, man, like, I don't want to go up against that backup quarterback because that backup quarterback's going to beat the Raiders. One of the hardest reasons why, backup QBs do well, Marcus Mariota, week 3, is because you don't have as much tape and you don't have the ability to study, so you're kind of getting thrown into the mix a little bit, and you got to learn on the fly. I don't want Philadelphia to have to learn on the fly right now because that Eagles telling me that it doesn't look like it can fly very well. Their defense is much better, but when your offense is struggling and turning the football over, all it takes is one bad turnover. The Raiders put up some easy points, and then I don't know if Philly's going to be able to climb themselves back out of it. But, like, the ability to prep is so important in the NFL, and it is. And that's why I think good teams win with good coaches, and it's why bad teams just stay in the hole. And, people are like, oh, we're not a coach away. I with all due respect, I respectfully disagree with that. Josh McDaniels showed he was a terrible head coach. Antonio Pierce showed he was a terrible head coach. Pete Carroll showing he's a terrible head coach. Like, I get the fact that the Raiders have been a dumpster fire, but we've also hired dumpster fire head coaches. And, if you're going to hire shit and you expect it to be gold, I think it's probably still going to be shit, and that's what the Raiders have been. Coming up here, though, next, my final reason why I am nervous, and again, it comes down to prep, and watching the Monday Night Football game, it's why, again, I'm a little bit more nervous, and this one isn't like a big reason, but if you are somebody that I think just looks at little advantages, I think that this one's really going to resonate with you. Again, today's show, sponsored, presented by my guy Panda Sups. Use code Raiders for 25% off. I was literally, again, just looking here at some of the awesome products that they have. They have a new Sleepy, which is really good. I got to get some new Nootropics. Nootropics are like, I don't want any more caffeine, but I want to be able to wake up my mind. If you're a gamer, if you're a student, I know it's amazing. And then they're, right now, premium protein products. Their peanut butter one that they just came out with, they kind of have two different peanut butter ones right now. They have their limited edition chocolate peanut butter crumble. I mean, I don't know. Again, I have a sweet tooth, so I love sweets. To me, it tastes almost like really flipping good peanut butter chocolate, like pie that you would get during the holidays, and I don't know how it's healthy. Uh-oh. We're going to have to move this video elsewhere. Hang on, y'all. Come on, Chuck. Oh, hang on, y'all. I think I'm good. Come on, buddy. Well, if my fire alarm goes off again, I'm going to have to, I probably should go check on it, but let me finish up this video real quick. PandaSups.com. Make sure that you use code Raiders, and maybe that you could just is a little bit of a tip to turn on that notification bell. I don't know, buddy. I think we're okay. I think I just turned my heat on, so if I had to guess, I think it's because I kicked my heat on, and I don't always have my heat on. That's why I got my beanie on, though I got a t-shirt. So, all right, we're going to keep this thing going here. Final reason why I am nervous. It's called rest advantage. And rest advantage in the NFL is a stat that I showed many months ago when the first schedule ended up coming out. And technically, the only game where the Raiders this entire season have had a rest advantage is up against the Philadelphia Eagles. So what is rest advantage? The Raiders played on Sunday. The Eagles played on Monday. That is a +1 rest advantage for the Las Vegas Raiders. So essentially, we got that extra day of rest. We got that extra day of prep to get ready for Philadelphia. The Raiders this season were -17 rest advantage, which was the worst in the National Football League. So if Pete wants to hang his hat on anything, Pete could probably hang his hat on that. But the reason why rest advantage scares me is because Philadelphia, I'm not saying they're super banged up, but they don't have Lane Johnson right now, and they are 15-27 when he's not able to go out there and he's not able to play. And Philadelphia does play that brand of FU style football, and that's the brand that they're going to have to play if they are going to compete, and if they're going to compete in the playoffs, and if they're going to beat the Raiders. Like, that's the brand they got to play. So to have that extra rest, I do think is important, and it's important. But the other fact there is this game went into overtime, and the Chargers kind of play this tough-nosed style of team as well. Harbaugh likes to play hard-nosed football. So the fact that they have a -1 rest advantage day and they had to go into overtime, that does make me just a little bit more nervous of why the Raiders could ultimately end up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before I get on out of here, I do at least want to give us a little bit of, I am nervous, and I want to be I am nervous, way more nervous about this Eagles-Raiders game than I ever thought was humanly possible. I wanted to be able to get you guys a video. It's what I do here. But let's talk about the NFL playoff picture, because I think this will maybe calm the nerves a little bit. And I know I'm nervous, but at this point in the season, it's like, how can I calm my nerves? How can I calm my nerves? When I look at the NFL playoff picture right now, right? The AFC side, you got the Broncos 1, Patriots 2, Jags 3, Steelers 4, Chargers at 5, Bills 6, Texans 7. I think it looks like that the Chargers and the Broncos are going to be the two teams that ultimately get in from the AFC West. I don't know if the Chiefs will. That Chargers end of the schedule is a freaking gauntlet, no doubt about it. And I just also look at the other teams with the Colts, they're falling apart. I don't know if the Ravens are going to get in. We'll see if the Chiefs end up getting in. But to me, I anticipate the teams right now in the AFC to get into the playoffs, which I think is not too bad. Kansas City's out of it. Chargers don't scare me because they don't even have a home field advantage. And Justin Herbert, I don't believe in him in the big games. And then the Denver Broncos. I don't believe in Denver to be able to win because, again, if you've watched that team, they might be one of the worst 11-win teams I've ever seen in the NFL. Let's now go to the NFC. And this is actually the side I wanted to talk about more because of the Philadelphia Eagles. Are you okay? Come here. I know. That was scary. That was scary. What were you doing down there? Was it you? Did you set the alarm off? Everyone say hi to Chuck. What's up? Yeah, it's my buddy. All right, so the NFC side, you got Rams 1, Packers 2 with 9-3-1. Then you got Philadelphia, who's 8-5 as the 3 seed. Buccaneers are 7-6 after their loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seahawks at the 5 seed at 10-3. 49ers 9-4 in the NFC West. And then it's the Chicago Bears at 9-4, second in the NFC North. The reason why I am kind of if there's one good thing about Philadelphia losing Monday Night Football yesterday, in my mind, it's they have to win. They have to be ready to go at home. They have to be able to find a way to be able to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think if they play their just simple brand of football, which again, FU football, I believe that they're going to be able to get a dub against us. Now, you look at the Eagles at 8-5, first in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, because they have that tie, 6-1. The Eagles' remaining schedule is not, it's, again, I don't think it's that bad. Play the Raiders, that's a win. You play the Commanders in Washington. Buffalo's going to be a tough game. And then you play the Commanders again. I know the Commanders have looked really bad, and they have looked really bad. However, though, I'll always say this. Interdivision matchups are weird. And when you're a team that's struggling the way that Philadelphia is struggling, they're looking at that Commanders game and they're going, we got to figure it out before we go up against them. And I think the game that they're trying to get their get-right game is going to be against the Raiders. And I think they're going to put in the extra time. I think they're going to put in the extra attention. And that they're going to go balls to the wall to make sure that at home they figure it out. Because if they lose to the Raiders at home in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, I don't know if we've ever seen the panic button as high as what it's going to be for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's why I'm like, all right, a little bit of a glass half full there because I do feel like they have to win. And they're trying to stay on top of that division because if they end up losing that division, they're not making the playoffs. And I know the Cowboys right now are, again, 6-1, but they play Minnesota. That sounds like a win to me. Chargers is going to be a tough game. We'll see how that one ends up going out. But that game's at home, and Dallas is much better at home. Then you got Washington, and then you got the Giants. Like, I legitimately think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the remainder of their games. And I think they're going to go 10-6-1. Worst case to me, 9-7-1. So for Philadelphia, who currently is 8-5, again, I hope that they beat the freaking Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if they're going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo. And you got two interdivision games that, again, interdivision games can be funky. I know the Cowboys got two interdivision games, but the Cowboys are playing much better football right now than the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think anybody would dispute that. So, yes, they did struggle on Monday night, but the good news is Philly needs to win, and I think that they're going to try to do everything in their power to beat the shit out of the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, y'all, I'm getting on out of here. I'm going to take Chuck out for a quick little walk. Then I'm going to walk my ass to Chat Sports. I will be live later on today, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. I am nervous about the Raiders playing the Eagles. Way, way more than what I was before Monday Night Football. But I still believe Philly should be able to get a win, which means we are 4 weeks away from having the number one overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. If you're looking for even more videos from me and my guy Chuck here, make sure you click that subscribe button right here. We're always going to do our best to keep you up to date. Chuck personally is licking this hand, so I believe that means he wants you to click on this video if you enjoyed this one. YouTube also is going to recommend this video for you. Essentially, if you made it this far in the video, I got to be doing something right. Can't wait to see you again here on the Raiders Report.